everybody. We're going to get this forum going here. I'd like to welcome you. My name is Joe. I'm the Executive Director of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to again welcome you to our Candidates Forum. At this time, if you can all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Now at this time to get our forum going, I would like to introduce Dr. Cliff Hamlow. He is our chair of our Legislative Action and Economic Development Committee. Please welcome Cliff Hamlow.
Thank you. It's great to see a full house. We were hoping that we'd have a full house. In fact, we tried to get a larger house. But there are various issues with scheduling that didn't allow us to do that. Mr. Rue just came in. Bill, I want you, this is Bill Rue. Bill is the manager. He's the owner. He's the guy we work with all the time here at Citrus Valley. We appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Welcome to the Citrus Valley Association of Realtors. We're very, very pleased that all of you are able to be here, that we're able to open up our home to you and to the community. Just one quick note, if anybody is parked in any of the reserved spots, please move your car because that's for the CPA. He's at his real busy time right now. Thank you.
And how about the air conditioner? Is there any way to get that on?
That's what we can do. It should be on.
Well, it seems to be locked. So, you parked in a reserved one? Yeah. Well, is there somebody that can move that for you? No. No, I want you to. Daniel. Somebody help Erica out here and so that she gets out of the.
I'll be quick.
You'll be quick?
I'll be quick, Crash.
Okay. Okay, let's set some ground rules. All of the candidates know the ground rules for tonight, and let's introduce some people as well. I want you to meet our two timers, Marilyn Grinsdale from Citrus College, and Doris Blum from the Glendora School Board. We have Donna Black and Fred Sparling who have been collecting the questions, and we probably have more questions now than we'll be able to get to. But if you have one, maybe we can, if you put your name on it, we can send it to them or to, if it's directed to one of them, and let them get back to you on that. Our screeners have been Jean Morrell and Bill Rue and Bob Kuhn. So we have questions and we'll get to them. This isn't a rally, this is a forum. And so we ask you to listen carefully. These folks have committed themselves to our community, and going through an election is a difficult, grueling situation. And so we're here tonight to hear what they have to say, and we'll give them our total attention and respect. The Glendora Legislative Committee meets once a week, or once a month, the first Thursday of each month, and we are happy to have new members come and join us. We have a number of our Legislative Committee members here tonight. The seating order was drawn, and we will, Erica is going to be the lead-off as far as opening statements, and Joe will be the lead-off as far as the closing statements are concerned. And then we will take questions if they're to the entire group. I'll try to keep a scorecard and keep track of who starts. And if it's to a particular person, and that person will address the question. Here are the rest of the rules. Each candidate gets 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then, as a question comes, their 2-minute response will be allowed for each question directed to a specific candidate, and a 1-minute response will be allowed for other candidates to respond if they so choose. If a question isn't directed to a specific candidate, all candidates will have 1 minute in rotating order to respond. That way we will get to as many questions as we possibly can. And then the closing statements will be 2 minutes. Timekeepers, hold up one of those. They'll tell them how much time they've got left, and when it says stop, then we'll go to stop. All right, we will begin with Erica Landman, and Erica has 2 minutes for her opening statement. Erica. Try it, I'm not sure.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Erica Landman, and I first moved to Glendora in 1981, and I've lived here ever since. I thought it was an awesome location, and my parents did too, because they brought me here. So. Of the developments coming into town, and I believe that we need to get the people more involved in the process. There is a project at Bonnie Cove in Gladstone that about 10 years ago now that my neighbors and I really fought and worked hard, and a lot of friends throughout the city helped us as well to stop this project. It was going to be 48 feet tall with the option to go 80 feet. We were told when we went to the council meeting that we would like it when it's done. It's a good project. I knew then I wouldn't like it, and I still don't like it, so I'm happy every time I drive by and see the empty lot and know that our hard fight, was worth it. Primarily, the big concern for me was the entire time I was going around getting signatures, because we gathered 4,729 signatures. We spoke to so many people. We attended multiple council meetings. The big thing was that everybody kept telling me you can't fight City Hall. And to which I was just so mind-boggled, because I couldn't understand why we had to. We did fight City Hall and we won, but it was heartbreaking that we had to actually go through the entire process. So remember to vote March 3rd. Erica, thanks.
Okay, Michael, you're on.
Hi, my name is this thing working?
Yes.
You're gonna have to hold it up.
Hi, my name is Michael Alowis, and it's an absolute honor to be here tonight.
Hold it just a second. Can you hear back there? Yeah. Okay, you're gonna have to hold it.
Start all over again. Hi, my name is Michael Alowis. It's an absolute honor to be here tonight as a candidate for Glendora City Council, and I'd like to thank all of you for coming. My family and I have lived here for 15 years, and we raised our 2 children, and we're deeply involved in our community. I currently own and operate a business here in Glendora as well. My wife and I chose Glendora because it's an all-American town that we're looking for. I imagine the 2 main reasons that you're here tonight is to find out why I'm running for City Council and what I'll do once there. I'm running for Glendora City Council because we're at a crossroads of change, and our hometown values shouldn't be. We're also faced with challenges when interacting with city government, whether trying to obtain a simple permit or a license, or effectively communicating with our elected officials. Simply put, that our government is for and by the people, and that's slipping away. One thing that sets me apart from the rest of the candidates is I took on City Hall and won. The Downtown Business Improvement District was taxing the businesses and not keeping to their promise. We helped fight to reduce the taxes by 50%, and the community was heard for the first time in 3 years. Every politician makes promises, but they don't keep them. the Alves family takes their oaths and pledges seriously. I pledge to give you a higher level of constituent service than you're currently receiving. My first act would be to agendize the moratorium on the Route 66 plan. I pledge that all citizens will be heard for the future of Glendora. I also pledge to work with my fellow council members in bringing fairness, accessibility, and transparency to City Hall. Remember to vote for Michael Alves to protect our hometown values. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff, and thank you for giving up a night to come and just engage. This is a very important night, and March 3rd is a very important day. We have lived here for 30 years, and it's been great. We have been married for 40 years, and since this is the week of love, I would not be, it wouldn't be good to recognize that. So my wife is right here, and I love her very much. She's a nurse and respected. I have a great job too. I'm the president and CEO of America's Christian Credit Union, right down there on Route 66. I've been there for 38 years, president and CEO for 29 years. But we moved here because of the schools, safety, the parks, the mountains, but really most of all, the kind of fabric that this city has. Heritage here is such an important thing, and I pledge to you that that is not going to change. The heritage is such an important thing. And yet, what is important now is what is ahead. Challenges, we're going to talk about those for a couple hours. But I want you to know that I bleed Glendora pride. And I know that 52,000 of us can resolve the challenges which we have. I'm confident that we can do that. And I want to earn your trust to make sure that we make sure that government serves us, that we unleash the power that 51,000 of us have to make sure that the challenges that we have get solved. So get engaged. Thank you for being here. March 3rd, vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff. I'm here tonight as one of 6 candidates requesting the privilege of serving again as your council member. I'd like to continue the work that I have done over the last 4 years. Number 1, striving for an open and responsive city government. I spend much of my time getting to know the people in the community, and I provide opportunities for citizens to speak freely with me. I respond quickly to questions and concerns, and I offer assistance in navigating city government. Number 2, protecting local control by ensuring that our state and federal representatives understand and advocate for the city of Glendora. Number 3, getting closer to our water conservation goals of becoming 100% independent from imported water. And number 4, navigating upcoming financial challenges without sacrificing our monetary reserves, reducing our quality of services, or increasing our taxes. My husband Byron and I have lived here for 34 years. We raised our 4 children here. We know that this is a truly exceptional city. I want to thank all of you for coming tonight to learn about your candidates and to care about your city government.
Gary Boyer.
My name's Gary Boyer, and I'm a local small business owner. I own Southland Properties down in the village. And my wife Kathy and I, we've lived here in Glendora for over 30 years. We raised our family here, and our 2 sons, they came back to Glendora after college, and they got married. They're raising their kids here, and our kids are going to Glendora schools. Over those 30 years, for the most part, Glendora has been relatively well managed. But in the last few years, there have been some decisions made that have caused me enough concern to make the decision to run for city council. I'm not a politician, and I'm a real estate guy. I like coaching kids in basketball. But one thing that I understand that most elected officials don't understand. First off, my opinion, if I become a city council person, it's one opinion out of 50,000. My opinion is no more important than anybody else in this community. Number two, the city has no money. The city has no money. We give the city our money to manage for us. And it's their responsibility to manage that money in our best interest. And in my opinion, the government has three jobs. Their job is to keep people safe, educate people, and take care of the common area. That's it. It's not really that complicated. If elected, I promise that every decision I make, every vote I take will be, the opinions of everybody in Glendora will be taken into consideration, regardless of my opinion, and especially regardless of people that are giving me advice. Number two, I'll manage your money well. I'm fiscally responsible. I'll listen to everyone's concerns. I'll communicate no matter where you live or what your issue is. And number three, I'll follow the rules. We have rules in place. People a lot smarter than me have made rules and laws prior to now. We have plenty of rules and laws in place. It's just a matter that it's up to us to enforce those and follow what's been put in front of us. I'd appreciate your vote on March 3rd, and I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Cliff. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Taking your time like everybody else had said. I know that this is an important decision for you. I've been living in this town for 21 years. My wife Jeannie is right there in the front, and the best grandmother I think in the world. We have my two sons live in town, and my 4 granddaughters live in town. And I just want to make this town the best that it can possibly be, and that's what I wanted to do at the very beginning. My professional career was a police chief and deputy city manager for the city of Monrovia. I was also an academic dean at Rio Hondo College, and then I was an adjunct faculty member at Cal State Los Angeles and at USC. I enjoy being on the city council because when I came to the city council, it was during the very difficult times, as you may all recall, when cities were going through some very difficult financial problems. I came to the city council, number one, because there was a vacant seat, and because I believe the councils before me did a great job. Number two, I came to the city council because I wanted to make it better, and I wanted to be at the table working with the council to make it better. And we did that. I promised when I came on the city council that there would always be a balanced budget. We would never be in the trouble that some of the many cities around us were in when it came to financial issues. We wanted to keep our services at a high level, which we did. We wanted to cut back on our budget so that we could afford to do things in our community and keep it that way, and we did it. This is a wonderful community, and for the last 4 years, we have worked very hard to keep it that way. When you look at our parks, when you look at our senior citizen centers, when you look at the streets, and when you look at the absence of graffiti in this town and a low crime rate, that's what we are all about. And that's what I'm aiming to do for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Okay, now let's give them all a big hand. Now, if we can make that the last time until we're done, then we'll be making good progress on what we're working on. Okay, we're going to get the elephant on the table and out of the room and discuss right off the bat, and then we'll get, I've got a whole batch of other questions, but let's get to this one. And I'm going to break the rules right off the bat and give each of you 2 minutes. Because you'll want 2 minutes, you'll want 10, but 2 minutes. And we'll, Michael, this comes to you first, and then we go that way, and we'll end with Erica. And the question is, please tell us how you would have circumvented the zoning code law that allowed the Avalon Bay project to take place without breaking the law or exposing the city to lawsuits. And you're each going to have 2 minutes to answer that question. You want it again?
Yes.
Please tell us how you would have circumvented the zoning code law that allowed the Avalon Bay project to take place without breaking the law or exposing the city to lawsuits. You're up, Mike.
Not a tough question. The big issue is the big structure in the center, which is the parking structure, which is, in my opinion, 6 stories. The code calls for 3 stories, but if you have a mixed use, it can go to 2 extra stories for a total of 5. The parking structure is actually 6 stories, which is every 10 feet is a story. And so what the city did was they took it upon themselves to say, that's not a story. That's just overall height. And they gave them the 15 feet on top of that. What I would have done was I would have mandated either go subterranean by 2 stories or 3 stories. Would have been more cost to the developer, but that's their problem, not ours. I think that most people are upset about the density of it and the setback. And they had a minimum setback of, I think, 5 feet. I would have went ahead and imposed, tried to work with them to not have that. And also, like I said, work on the overall height. But that's how I would have worked out, but I would have actually not let it got to that part. I would have resurrected the original ad hoc committee that had only a 3-story limitation on that, and it went through the pepper mill, through the city and consultants. We now have a maximum of 5 or 6 stories, what we have today, which is a problem. And this is why I like to have the moratorium, so we can bring back the ad hoc committee and do it right the way it was supposed to do the first time, and not what we currently have. Thank you.
We're going to get through it, okay. Mendel?
Well, I'm not one to try to circumvent laws. I live in a regulated world, and if you circumvent things, that's not a good thing. So I'm not sure that I really feel good about how this question was asked. But I would have done a couple things. I think I would have tried to push a pause button and to understand a little bit more as to why this thing came about. And as I understand it, this came about because of the Route 66 plan that was approved in '03. So many of the councils prior and after that didn't have much of a say-so. But I think that I would have found some way to sit down with those that have built this thing and said, listen, this is bigger than what we really want. Within the business world that I'm in, I have to sit down every day and really work out things. And part of the giftedness that I think that I have is doing just that. I would agree that part of the parking structure could have been underground, and that would have resolved much of the angst that I think a lot of us have. But you know what? This thing is built, and I think that we just need to move on, accept it, and understand that what is being built for everything else is not going to be even near what this is. It's not going to be the density, it's not going to be the height, it's not going to be everything that everybody is worked up on. So that's what I would have done, to try to work a better deal at the very, very start. Thank you.
Judy?
Thank you, Cliff. The Avalon Bay project was guided by the Route 66 specific plan, which was created over a decade ago by a 3-year process with a large group of citizens, council, and consultants working on it. It was approved by council in 2003. That Route 66 plan is the guiding regulatory document for development along Route 66. Our council was advised by our legal staff that to not allow the developer to build according to his plan, which I want to say complied with every aspect of the Route 66 plan and did not require one variance to be given. For us not to have allowed that development would have put us in jeopardy of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit from the developer. It was his property. That's what resulted in the vote to allow that development to go forward. With that said, we certainly have heard from many residents who are concerned about that development. Concerned because of the density. I agree, it is extremely dense. Concerned about the height, I agree with that also. Concerned about the lack of setbacks, it's only 10 feet, it cannot be set back any further. A building of that size with a 10-foot setback, there's no room for landscaping and you cannot soften it, which really, to me, is problematic. So the council has acknowledged that we need to look at the Route 66 specific plan. We have tasked our city planning department with doing that. It will be a very long project. just as it was the first time, to evaluate that plan and make sure it now meets the requirements and needs of our citizens.
Gary?
Okay. From Cliff's question, the simple answer is I would have read the plan. I would have read it and understood it myself before I made a decision. The Route 66 plan, and if anybody picked up on my packets in the back, you can go to the section, section 5, page 22 specifically says in the town center mixed use, there's to be no structures taller than 4 stories. It's in the plan. You can go to the website and read it yourself. And on section 5, page 25, it says upper stories of a building larger than 2 stories need to be set back further than the lower stories. We didn't do that. We have a big blank space on the streets. Section 5, page 62, vertical and horizontal offsets need to be placed in the building so that we don't have big blank walls on the street. Building mass and height should relate to adjacent sites. We have rules in this plan specifically to talk about that. The parking garage says, section 5, page 121, parking structure should be designed to help reduce the mass and scale of the garage to ensure compatibility with the surrounding area. All of this information is in the Route 66 specific plan. If you picked up one of my packets, I've got some summaries on here. This is only about a dozen summaries, and there are dozens more in there that the city council, every decision was left up to the city council. The builder was allowed to build 3 stories. He could build 5 stories at the discretion of the city council. Every decision that the city council made on this erred in the side of the developer, not in the side of the cities or the citizens of Glendora. The information is in that packet. You can go to the city website. You can read this stuff for yourself. You don't have to take my word on it. It's all in there. I put some of the summaries on here. And honestly, the city council should have read this plan and made decisions for themselves and not listen to advice from other people. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Cliff. Well, just for the record, I did read the plan. I read it very carefully, and I did what we were supposed to do. I come from a law enforcement background, and for 36 years, I saw a lot of laws that I didn't like, nor did I approve of. That didn't mean that I could manipulate them. That didn't mean that I could change them. That meant that I had to enforce them whether I liked it or not. So let me bring this down to how I think I can best explain this. I'm a person, I come into the city of Glendora. I want to invest my money into the community. I'm interested in a good investment. I go to Mr. Boyer's real estate office and I say, Mr. Boyer, I'm looking for a good investment. And he says to me, I've got just a piece of property for you. You can invest in it, you can put 4 houses on it. And I say, that sounds good to me. I do the money side of it. I think, okay, it's a good investment for me. So I draw up my plans, I bring them to the city. And I say, here are my plans. And the city looks at my plans and says, sorry, you can't do that. And I say, well, wait a minute. The law allows me to do that. Why can't I build 4 houses and only 2 houses? Because my investment is for 4 houses. I can't make it without 4 houses. And the city says, we don't care about your investment. We don't care about your investment. We don't care about your law. We're just not going to allow you to do it. And I don't think anybody in this room wants a city council or any power authority to do that to anybody. And that can happen all the way down the chain. So I'm here to say, this is a project. We can all say that it's too big, and I agree with you. It is too big. But we put into place a plan where we're going to reevaluate it like the law lets us do, and then we're going to follow a procedure that allows us to do it properly. So thank you.
Okay, what I would have done actually was I would first place a moratorium. Even if I had been elected a few years ago, I would have placed a moratorium on development and immediately gone and looked back at the plans and at this project, because if a moratorium had been placed, we would not be stuck with this project as it is now. And I also would have been wanting to get the residents involved as well, to ultimately have more input by voting on the Route 66 corridor plan as well as voting on the plans for that project, because that project impacts every single person in this city. Whether you drive by it or you live by it, you're impacted. It doesn't match why people move to the city in the first place. It doesn't represent the city of Glendora. About 10 years ago, when that building was being discussed, I showed up at the meetings and I spoke out against it. And we were told always, you'll like it, it's a good project, you'll like it when it's done. I don't like it now, I don't like it 2 years from now, and I'm not gonna like it 20 years from now, because at the end of the day, it's just too massive and too dense for that area. We're replacing businesses with apartment buildings, and that doesn't fit the original purpose for Route 66. Route 66 is a business corridor. It doesn't fit. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. I think we'll follow up, and these will be 1-minute responses. And Mendel, you'll be the first one up on this one. Because it's a follow-up question, and then we'll get to some other issues, I'm sure. Do you believe we need a moratorium on building? And if elected, how soon can the council change the Route 66 plan?
First of all, the Route 66 plan is going to be opened up. There's a meeting on the 18th. I would encourage for all of us to be there. We need to look at this plan. We need to speak into it. There needs to be tweaks made. So let's do that. Moratorium, that's an interesting term. It's a catch-all term. I think we need to be careful about saying that. A moratorium on height, on density, on bulk, on lot cover. I mean, what does that mean? And is it going to be that a moratorium covers everything? The donut man is going to try to expand. Do we really want to punish him because of something like this and businesses like him that want to expand? I think that we're smart enough to figure this out without shutting everything down.
Let's keep moving.
Implementing a moratorium is something that we really have to think carefully about. We almost had a moratorium during the recession. There was no development in this town. A moratorium will do that again. So do we really want to do that? Do we want to still have development happening, but at a different level than what's happening now? We need to think, if we're going to impose a moratorium, as Mendel said, is it on everything? Is it on certain aspects of it? Is it on all of the city or just part of Route 66? Developers know that we are going to be looking at our Route 66 plan, and most developers are not going to come to the city and ask to develop on Route 66 while they know that we may be changing our plan to begin with. So I think it's something we don't want to jump into. We really have to be careful about doing a moratorium.
Here.
I agree with Mendel and Judy on this. I think a moratorium is overkill. You know, we don't want to stop all development just because of a couple of bad decisions. The situation with the Route 66 plan, honestly guys, the Route 66 plan is over 1,000 pages long. This thing's become my life the last couple of months. It's a good plan. The people that put this together did a really good job. It gave a lot of leeway to the city council to make decisions. And so the only way to make changes to keep something like this from happening again is to change it to the point that everything is set in stone and we don't allow individuals to make these decisions. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I think it's important to have people in office that are going to read and understand this and listen to the community and make decisions based on that.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, when it comes to the moratorium, it's a easy word to say, and it's a very difficult thing to do. What we're talking about here, when they say let's put a moratorium on Route 66, that means they're going to close down all development for 4.5 miles through our main corridor of our city. Any development, anybody that wants a building permit to expand their building, anybody that wants to make modifications to their building, anybody that wants to build on a vacant lot, whether it's 1 story or 4 stories. It's a no until we get through looking at it. I think we have a plan in place that we're looking at, that we've already put into place, that it's going to go to our planning commission. We're going to get input. Because this moratorium, at least the way I hear it, has no impact from the businesses on the street, has no input from the business on the street. And I think one of the biggest things is let our planning commission do their job and come to us with their recommendations. If it's a moratorium, fine. If it's not, fine. But at least we'll have the facts to be able to make good decisions.
Yeah, good. We need to do 3 of those on one end, 1 for 3 and 1 for 3. Erica.
As I said before, yes, we need a moratorium. The people are not happy with the development. I've spoken to many people, they're very upset. People are moving out of town. They're citing this as the reason for their unhappiness. And, ultimately, the council people are to be elected and to be representing the people. We the people, of the people, for the people, by the people, okay? And so if the people are upset and they want change, we need to figure out a way to get a moratorium. First step would be automatically to get a second to even get to be discussed. And then we need to go and immediately review the Route 66 corridor plan. So I said it before, but ultimately, the council is elected to serve the people and to back their concerns as well. Thanks.
Michael.
Yes, I still stand by my temporary moratorium on the Route 66 plan. I've read it as well, and it's very contradictory. In my past life, I was in the aerospace industry, and that's all I did was read specifications. And it's very contradictory, and it has to be squared with the original intent and the original ad hoc committee that started the whole process. Again, it has changed dramatically from the original ad hoc committee to what we currently have. And it's a temporary moratorium, not a permanent one. There are some good features in it, but it has to be squared with what the original intent of the law was supposed to be. Again, this is a legislative body for the city council. The city council originally enacted it, and they can also make changes at any time. That is their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Give them all a hand. We're going to... Okay. First, this next question, I believe, goes to you, Judy. Some have said that the city does not do a good job communicating with the public. Can you please tell me what the city currently does to communicate with the public and how you would make it better? These will be 1-minute responses.
We actually had, am I on? We actually had a presentation about communication last night at our council meeting related to technology. Our strategic plan has emphasized technology improvements to reach out to our residents and to allow them to reach back to us. Where I would see the need for improvement is in the person-to-person communication with residents, either through town halls, through forums, through workshops, one-on-one. That's where I think that we can still see quite a bit of improvement talking to our residents. I also would like to see more improvement with working with all of the people that participate in our city, engaging them more, making sure that they understand what we're doing and why we're doing it and the background for what we're doing. Sometimes what we do doesn't make sense, but we have to do it. There are regulations and rules that we follow, and the more we communicate with our residents, the more we'll be understood, and I have to stop.
I've got to tell you, the city, they put together a great website, but it's very complicated to try to find things on it. One of the things that I would like to see us do, there's a lot of people that come to our city council meetings and they make a public comment in 3 minutes. 3 minutes isn't a lot of time, 1 minute's even shorter to try to get your point across. I would like to see us once a quarter have an open city council meeting that the entire evening is dedicated to public comment from people, and we have some interaction between the city council and the citizens, that the city council is just not up there staring at the citizens as they're talking. One of the things that I've done is, and all the candidates have, we've done a lot of coffees in people's homes, where we go to people's homes and talk to small groups of people. These things need to continue. The information that I have learned from people by sitting in their living room and having an opportunity to talk to them, I'd like to see all 5 city council commit to continuing to do these coffees after the election in order to communicate with people.
Joe?
Thank you. I think one of the biggest things that I do for communications is that I live in this city, and every place I go, I see a citizen or a resident of this committee, of this city, whether it's the store, whether it's the gas station, whether it's any place. I run into people, they ask me questions, and I work with them all the time. On the issue of communications, I think one of the things, and Gary had mentioned it, we have a wonderful website. Did you know that you could go to our website, click on a few buttons, and get the agendas for all of the city council meetings and video all the way back to 2008? All you have to do is click the proper box, and I think one of the voids is that maybe we need to do a better job of educating the community on how to use that website so that they can get the information that's already there that they can use. And I think it'll be very beneficial once you get into it. So thank you.
Very good.
The website is outstanding. It really is. I was really impressed with the just the information presented last night. That was great. I am for extending the public comment period during the council meetings because 3 minutes for the average person, the entire process is nerve-wracking. It's so stressful for people unaccustomed to speaking to their elected officials, and it makes it very uncomfortable for them, and I think it should be extended. Another thing is over in Sierra Madre, they make it very interactive, and they're very friendly. The council people, they interact with the speaker, and I think that would just set the, make the tone a little bit more relaxed and put the people at ease when they're speaking.
Michael?
Communication means it's a two-way dialogue, not a one-way. And I think that we should have non-confrontational hometown meetings, not just at City Hall, but in different parts of the city, north, east, south, west, and have it in the comforting zone so that you don't feel intimidated when you're up there talking with these folks, when they're on the diocese and you're on the backside. We need to make it more friendly. We're all a town, we're all together. We need to work together. And this is what communication is all about, not just a website. So I would encourage us, since we're a small town of 50-some-odd thousand people, that we can accomplish something like this, of really truly communicating with people in a non-confrontational way. Thank you.
Erica, we agree. The website is great. And I am not a techie, but if I can kind of get through it, then that's great. A survey is great. A coffee is great. One thing that I do within my own life is every week I call 5 of our top people, the owners that we have, and we have a membership base of 54,000, just about as big as this as you know our town. I would like the council to pick that up, and I think Joe has said that, but I want to make sure that the council walks in or calls 5 of the businesses every week. And I want the city manager to do it, directors to do it, people like that. Make it a point to reach out and listen. Thank you.
Okay, Judy, you've already, you started?
I'm up.
Okay.
Make it easy.
You are number 1 on the 4th question. The city manager has mentioned increased sales tax or utility taxes. What's your position on tax increases?
The last thing we need is another tax. We're taxed from the time we wake up in the morning to the time we go to bed at night. It's a matter of managing money better than we do. We just recently had a 10-cent a gallon tax that started January 1st on gasoline. We approved Measure R as citizens in order to deal with the transportation issue. We've got another Measure R2 that's going to be coming up in 2016 where the county's going to be asking us to come up with another half a percent sales tax. So we have enough taxes in place to take care of business already. We need to make some tough decisions in order to manage the money better.
Thank you. I've not heard the city manager say that the city's going to increase taxes, but I do have a document here, and it came to you in the Glendora report. It's the cost of additional fees. and it's a per capita rate for the cities of Arcadia, Azusa, Covina, South Pasadena, Glendora, Whittier, Monrovia, and Monterey Park. The city of Arcadia, $111 per capita a year. The city of Azusa, $129 per year. Covina, $157.
Speak up, we can't hear you.
The city of Covina, $157 per year. The city of South Pasadena, $226. The city of Glendora, $8. The city of Whittier, $117. The city of Monrovia, $179. I think we're doing pretty good on keeping down the taxes.
Regarding the taxes, we don't need to be placing any more taxes on the businesses and the people. Times are tough right now, and we need to realize this. We really need to look at thinking through things a little bit smarter, and we need to be a little bit more considerate of the people as well, the voters. Ultimately, we need to be looking at getting more businesses in and helping out the businesses instead of putting the burden on the backs of the businesses to be paying down, any types of debts or just make the payments in a month. We really need to be, at the end of the day, thinking about the people, remembering who the voters are and who we represent. Thanks.
Michael.
We need to be more creative, no new taxes. We need to work with the businesses to make it friendlier so they can get a business license or a business permit within a couple of days and not months. I've talked to a number of businesses that left Glendora, went to San Dimas because it was easier to do business there. We need to change this. We need to retain our businesses. We need to attract more businesses because some of our largest businesses here, if you call them, is Citrus College and the Glendora Unified School District. We need to have other businesses that make things, make wealth, make assets. This is how we're going to do better as a city. This is how we're going to fill our coffers. And we're going to fill these apartment houses that we're building and condos. But it's important to be more business friendly and work with them as a partnership.
Hello?
No new tax.
Read my lips.
Read my lips, yes. I can't believe I took your bait on that. Listen, I'm a banker, all right? And so I face taxes, i.e. fees, every day. You all have banks, you all have fees, you all gripe about the bank's fees, right? It's a tax. I've had to learn to manage growth. And Michael's right, we have to grow. We have to grow the businesses. We have to be efficient. And part of the skill sets that I would bring is just that. Be more efficient, look at what ways that we can do more with, and make sure the businesses feel like that they are welcomed here. Develop the sites that we don't have. Thank you.
Absolutely no new taxes. We are one of the few cities that does not have a utility tax, and I am very proud to say that we don't have one. We do not want to raise our sales tax either. That just discourages citizens from coming in out of our city to purchase, I believe, or from purchases happening in our city. We want you to be able to keep your money in your pockets to support our businesses. We do need to bring in more businesses. Our city has 2 years ago implemented an economic development department to help businesses come into the city and to help them stay in the city. We also need more residents. Our city population has not grown in the last 10 years from one census to the next. And that's one reason that we should be doing some development to bring in residents. They will support the businesses, and our businesses need that.
Very good. Maybe we ought to clap because we all agree no new taxes. Okay, the next question, and I believe we lead off with Joe. What do you see as the 3 most pressing issues that will face the Glendora City Council in the next 2 years, and how would you address them?
Well, the first issue I think is finance. I think that we've gone through this recession. We're starting to see a little light at the end of the tunnel. Our goal right now is to keep it so that we can have a balanced budget all the time, and so that we can have emergency funds to take care of the city in issues like the Colby fire, the mudslides, and the flooding, which we have done over the past 4 years. I think the second issue that we need to do in the city is to pay attention to state mandates and try and do something about that, because they come down on us like a rock. And one of them is the water bond that could cost the city and other cities throughout the country millions of dollars to be able to comply with. It's a federal mandate, comes through the state, it comes to the city, and it's one of the things that we are fighting very hard to try and change that law at the state and federal level.
Well, for the next 2 years, I see one big issue is the development in town, looking at involving the residents more, because a lot of people are just saying, where'd that building come from? I didn't know anything about it. And perhaps they just moved in, but the people still need to kind of have a heads up. That's one thing. The other thing is to look at the infrastructure of the city, because what are we going to do exactly once all the people come in? You know, what are we going to do with the streets, the traffic flow? There's a huge concern over traffic on Lone Hill right now, as well as Route 66, primarily due to development on Route 66, but we really need to look at traffic lights and setting them properly, as well as we need to look at issues such as foothill preservation and making sure the foothills will be safe for the future. Thanks.
Michael.
Three main issues are pensions, building balance, and water. Our pension funds is something that's critical because that's related to the number of employees that we have. We have a building balance. We're building residential, but we are taking that at the sacrifice of industrial and or manufacturing and retail. So we're sacrificing that. We also have a water issue, as we all know, and we have 3 wells in the city of Azusa that are contaminated that we need to address, so we can possibly get some state or federal funds to clean them up and start using that water, as well as add additional conservation because of all the different growth that we're having currently.
Joe's right that money is going to be the number one thing, and sales tax is going down. People are shopping on internet. That plays right into the skill sets that I've got. We've got to look at ways to be more efficient with the money which we have. The second thing, growth, and not only from a property standpoint. Needs to be measured, just thought out well. Gordon Mall, the mountains. We need to think about that. The third thing is just little things. Streets. I don't know about you, but every street that I tend to drive on is cruddy. We've got to take care of the little things, the maintenance that we have had to put off. And so those would be my things.
Well, it's pretty much finance, finance, and finance. We are seeing shrinking revenues from sales tax, as Mendel mentioned. We are seeing enormous state mandates coming down with no funding with it. Our workers' comp, our pension costs, our health insurance, our minimum wage are all increasing at rather rapid rates, and yet we have no way of not having to comply with that. Our water, the LA County Regional Water Quality Control Board just implemented extremely stringent water requirements that are going to cost us, as Joe said, we don't know, maybe millions of dollars each year to keep our water flowing out of when it flows out of the city, as clean as almost drinking water. That's going to be extremely difficult and very expensive, and we have to figure out how to find money to fund that.
Jared?
Okay, well, the 3 most important issues as I see them, number one, we've beat the dead horse with the development, and that's going to be the number 1 issue. But the finances are an important issue. And the city's made decisions that have brought some one-time fees into the city in order to balance their budget. But it's hurt our long-term income for the city. And we got to stop doing that. We can't put off till tomorrow things that we need to pay for today. Some tough decisions are going to have to be made. If we can't afford to do certain things, we're just not going to be able to do them. Somebody needs to step up and have the courage to make those decisions. And I got to be honest with you, we are all citizens of the state of California. We're citizens of Glendora, and I'm tired of hearing about state mandates. If the state tells us that they have to do something and they don't have a way for us to fund it, somebody at the city level, at the municipal government, has to be willing to make a trip to Sacramento and step up and say, this isn't right. We as the people of California, we don't have the ability to pay for these things. And I think that we need to speak up.
Thank you. Let's see, Joe, you've already answered that one, I believe. Did you?
I had it.
Okay. Then this one's coming back to you, Erica.
Okay.
The county mandate, and this was referred to, the county mandate regarding stormwater runoff threatens city resources. What's your recommendation, and how do we do this? Do we support raising taxes? How do we fund it?
That's a tough one, quite honestly, because there is a concern about the water runoff being perhaps contaminated. There was a discussion about it at a council meeting. And I am not for taxes at all. I'm not for putting any type of bond in place, but we really need to dig deep and really look at all of our situations and see what possibly we could cut back on a little bit so the people aren't going to be hit by extra charges to fund this. Thanks.
Michael?
That's a tough one. We have a lot of issues with the mandates, and we're going to have to find, as Judy said, the funds to deal with this because we don't have to have a choice. But I'm hoping that we can get creative and you have the right leadership up there to get creative, as opposed to just go ahead and acquiesce and saying yes and taxing us, because we all don't want that. So it's all about creativity, like everything else in the city, because this is what you're going to elect us to do, is to be creative, think outside the box, and do what's right for the citizens.
Mendel?
I think a couple of things. One, Gary's right. The mandates are tough, but I don't think we have a choice is just saying no. We've got to build relationships with people within our state. There's a lot of laws passed that just kind of stink, but we have to do. But we've got to build relationships so that maybe those laws are not passed, or if they are, they're not passed as tough as they are. The water, we've got to look at that. It's a very important thing, but we've got a partner that I think that we are working with that sells us a lot of water, and we've got to look at wells and the way water is treated. There's just a lot of different ways that we've got to look at in a very creative way.
Judy?
I have been really paying attention to this issue for well over a year when it first arrived on our antenna as far as this coming. I have worked really hard, and I think this is what council needs to do. Become informed so that you understand that this is an extremely, extremely complex issue. I've talked with city staff, with outside consultants, with other cities to find out what they're doing. There's many different ways that we can approach this issue. We need to advocate to the state and LA Water Quality Control Boards to lessen the requirements. They are too stringent and they have to be complied with too quickly. We need to advocate to our state and federal legislatures for assistance with funding. These are their mandates, not ours. We need assistance with how to fund. I've attended and spoken at water board meetings and county supervisor meetings about the challenges this permit is presenting to our city. Lastly, we need to guide our city in making the right choices.
Gary?
I'll give Judy a few seconds of my time because that was a good answer. The bottom line is the county tried to push this through, was it last year, a couple of years ago, Cliff, where they tried to add a property tax onto all of us in order to pay for the sewer runoff. And we fought that, we kicked it back to them. And it's one of those things that when the county, the state, whoever it is, comes in with mandates, We have to be able to speak up, and we have to be knowledgeable about what's going on. And I believe Judy's done a great job with this, of going back to them and saying there has to be a way to pay for it. If it has to be paid for, it's the same thing that we have to do in our own households. We have to tighten our belt, we have to cut something else, we have to figure out a way to bring more money into the city. It really is that simple.
Sure.
Thanks. I did went to the Board of Supervisors a couple of times to fight this, but I think more importantly, this is a large issue, and the city of Glendora can't solve this issue. So what I do is I'm on the League of California Cities. I represent the city on that program. The top of the list is doing lobbying from the state level and from the federal level to try and get it done. I'm also the president-elect of the Independent Cities Association. We represent 60 cities in LA County, and one of the top things on our agenda is this particular issue. The only way to get anything changed at the state level or the federal level is to build a coalition and to be part of it. I make between 6 and 10 trips a year to Sacramento to lobby for the best interest of this community.
Thank you. Now, we're at halftime. You want to stand up? All right, stand up for 30 seconds. We appreciate the candidates' steadiness, and now we need to move to the next question. And Michael will start the next question. Maintaining adequate water and high water standards for the city of Glendora, how do you propose to fund the project? Bond, higher rates, fines, what?
There's a lot of grant money that's out there available from the federal level that we can also go after to try to mitigate these issues. And part of this as well is the conservation that we have to all work towards. Again, as I mentioned before, because of the building that we have. And we have, like I said, the 3 wells that we have that are contaminated that's in a Superfund site, that we can grab some of that money as well to help pay for the overall structure that we need for this project. It's going to be a long, arduous process. It can take many years, but we have to start the project sometime and somewhere, and may as well start it now. We should have started quite some time ago.
Good news. Do you want some good news?
Yeah.
We are using the same amount of water as we used back in '76. So kudos to all of us, because the conservation is working. But we have to do more than just that. We have to continue to eliminate the needless use of water. We need to look at wells. We need to fix the wells that are messed up. We need to look for new sites to, make wells work. And there are sites that are out there. We need to work with the partners, which we have, and we have a lot of those. And so there's a lot of things that we can do, we should be, doing, and grants is certainly one of those things.
Judy?
Your water bill money that you send to the city is used to fund our water department for providing water to you, for doing the maintenance, for repairing lines, for replacing reservoirs. And we have just finished building a brand new San Gabriel water plant, which will have much more capacity than our water plant now. This year, we have spent over $4 million on our water projects. Our goal in the city, my goal especially, is to become 100% water independent from imported water within the next 20 years. We are conserving at a great rate from what we were doing in 2009 when we started a serious conservation project. And by 2020, we hope, and I believe we will actually surpass conserving by 20%, and that will be an enormous cutback on water usage. So I think the city's doing a very, very good job. We have our own water department, and we just need to continue on what we're doing.
Here.
I've spoken to people at the water department. I've spoken to Dave Davies in the city, the public works director. And actually, our city water department does an excellent job. They're in good shape financially. They've got money set aside for capital improvements and to increase the water that we're able to come into the city. Bottom line is, if we stay in this drought, the whole state's going to be in this problem. The city actually has a plan in place to replace the water lines and the sewer lines throughout the city. It's something that we see on an occasional basis, but they actually do a really good job with this, and I believe that Glendora is probably in the best shape of most communities in Southern California with their water department.
Joe?
Thank you. Obviously, it's a big issue, and it's going to continue to be a big issue. In our town, we do the best that we can possibly do to encourage conservation. We have our own conservation garden up on Sierra Madre. We work with the community. The water district gives $2 for people who replace their lawns with artificial turf. The city matches that, which is done by probably no other city anyplace, for another $2 to be an incentive for them to do that. We have people that will actually go out to people's homes to take a look at it, how they can conserve water, how they can re-landscape their property, and it's all one of the services of our water department. And I agree with Gary, our water department does an excellent job, but the truth of the matter is it's going to get more expensive and scarce over the years, and we are dealing with it the best that we can.
Gary?
I agree with Joe with his comments regarding conservation. Water conservation is extremely important. The people need to be applauded, the ones that are shifting over to a drought-tolerant landscape. And so that's very important. Checking out with the nurseries, even checking out with local conservancies, any type of suggestions for drought-tolerant native plants to substitute in their yards. The people shouldn't be penalized if they're cutting back on water. A lot of people, they've received fines for having brown lawns, but yet they're conserving and they're trying to shift over to a drought-tolerant landscape. So it's all about conservation.
Thank you. Now I have a question for each of you, and you get 2 minutes. And then if somebody wants to respond, they get 1 minute to respond. If all of you want to, that's fine. Judy, the first one's for you. Why are you concerned about the San Gabriel National Recreation Area and the National Monument?
Thank you very much, Cliff.
Somebody set it up.
I've been following the San Gabriel National Monument for 3 years, and I became involved with it to begin with because I saw it as a potential for removing local control of our natural resources, which include our water supply. We receive about 75 to 85% of our water locally from the San Gabriel River, which would be included in the National Recreation Area boundaries. I inserted myself in all of the discussions that went on at the beginning of the preparation of that legislation, doing my best to represent Glendora's interests. And when I saw a map of what they were proposing for the boundaries and saw that over 1,000 of our homes, our Glendora Foothill homes, were within those boundaries, I partnered with the chamber to have a town hall. And we had over 200 people show up, very concerned individuals, and shortly after that, a new map was created with almost all of our homes removed from the boundaries. Since that time, that legislation has been introduced to Congress. It's sitting dormant in a committee. President Obama then stepped forward after only 2 months and through executive order created a national monument, San Gabriel National Monument. The other legislation is still pending and waiting to go forward. The National Monument is also concerning, although it's only including federal land, it still includes our water supply. And it is a federal overlay that could change recreation usage as well. So I'm still very concerned. Our city has taken a strong position of wanting to be at the table as the management plan, which will be a 3-year process, is created for the National Monument, and I have been selected to represent the city by the National Forest Foundation, which is going to be advising the U.S. Forest Service. To me, these are our mountains, this is our water, we want to retain control.
Okay, any of you want to respond?
Sure.
Okay, Michael?
I think Judy's done an excellent job with this. We have an advocate, so we don't have a federal taking. She's absolutely correct on everything on this. I think we should all applaud her for standing up and taking the heat for it. It's an issue that we all should share. You know, why do we want to have the federal government step in? You know, when this was originally drawn, many of the houses on Sierra Madre on up were included within this boundary, and now they're not. The legislation that's in Congress currently right now is pretty much dead on arrival. It's not going to go anywhere. But the monument is here to stay, unfortunately.
Anyone else? Linda?
Yeah, I just want to, echo what Mike said. Judy, you've done an awesome job, and I think we all know the saying. The 9 scariest words that we all hear is, "I'm from the what? The government, and I'm here to help you." The monument's done, okay? But I think the management part is where we need to be really engaged. Judy's right. We need to step up. We need to be a part of that. And that's where we need to make sure that relationships are built with federal and state folks. Federal, especially now. Because that's where the nuts and bolts are really going to be worked out. So we need to all be there supporting whoever is there. Judy's there now, but that could change. And because that's where the most important work is going to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe? And you can answer this next question too.
Okay, thank you.
That's for you. Why didn't you support Mayor Nelson in the campaign against Judy Chu's takeover of our local mountains?
I did support Judy during that process. We were talking about the recreational area in there, and I attended meetings with Judy, and we attended them together in different spots. It's one of the things that we disagree with. It doesn't mean that I'm against her at all. It's just something that we have a different agreement about. I know she's worked very hard for it. She's our council expert on the board, and she's the one that really is at the table with them right now regarding the development of the national monument. The city took no position on the national monument because we wanted to know more information about it. But when the President of the United States comes down and implements it, we figure we'll give it up to Judy. And she can take and be on the board, and he can be on the board and give them as much profit as they can possibly get, because we know she's going to be a true advocate for us. And the City Council has never taken a position on the national monument. But we do have Judy working there for us as one of her collateral responsibilities, and she does do an excellent job, and it's a labor of love, believe me.
Good. Anyone else? Okay. Gary, the next one's you. Gary, you say the Planning Commission should have ability to advise the City Council on perceived consequences of any future projects. Don't they already perform that function? And have you asked any of the current commissioners if they are prevented or prohibited from doing that now?
Well, the Planning Commission, the way I see the Planning Commission's job is to take a look at projects and determine whether or not they fit within the laws and the ordinances that we have in place. And they pass the final decision on to the City Council as to whether or not the City Council makes the final decision. The Planning Commission may send it to the Council with a recommendation to approve or a recommendation to deny, but the City Council is the one that makes the final decision. I would like to see, we got 5 City Council people, but we got planning commissioners, we got community services commissioners, we've got a number of other volunteers, people that are experts in their field, and they're volunteers that step up to help the city, and I would like to see them have more input with their personal opinions as far as what some of these projects are and whether they think it should work. Just because somebody wants to add a patio cover onto the back of their house, and it doesn't fit to within the guidelines, if the neighbors are okay with it, if it's something that fits within the neighborhood, if the planning commissioners can take a look at it and say, this makes sense to me, even though it doesn't fall within the guidelines, I would like to see the planning commissioners and all of our commissioners have more say of a personal opinion because they're citizens, they're our neighbors, they're our friends, and they care about this town just like the rest of us.
Thank you. Anybody else want to respond?
Could you say that question again?
The Planning Commission should have the ability to advise the City Council of perceived consequences on any future projects. Don't they already perform that function? And have you asked any of the current commissioners if they are prevented or prohibited from doing it now?
From advising the council?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean, Gary, you said that? Is that? Yes, no. So the planning...
It was attributed to him.
That the planning commission, individual commissioners should advise individual council members? Is that what the point is?
No, it seems to me that the planning commission should have the ability to advise the council on perceived consequences of any future projects. Don't they already perform that function? And has he contacted any current commissioners if they have been prevented or prohibited from doing that?
Okay. I watch all the planning commission meetings, and believe me, they go through the details of each decision that they're going to be making very, very carefully. And they, with their decision, I take it as advice to the council, because they have looked at whatever it is they're looking at so carefully that if I'm going to disagree with them, I have to really know why I'm disagreeing. And sometimes I do talk to the commissioners afterwards about why they made a decision so that I can better understand it, or we just have a conversation back and forth about it. But I think you already are. That's your job, is to advise the council on whether to approve a project or not.
I didn't ask that question. Okay, Joe.
You know, our planning commission, our community service commission, our library board, they're all volunteers and they're all people who come from this community, and they do it for nothing. And so we take what they say to us seriously because there's no hidden agenda. On this planning commission issue, they take a look at things. They looked at different projects. Avalon Bay, they studied it and studied it and studied it and turned it upside down before they sent it to us. We listen to them because they, in fact, are the experts when it comes to doing all of the labor, all of the hard stuff, about looking at the detail. And they do give their recommendations to us, and we definitely do listen to them. Very seldom, actually, do we ever say, challenge them or anything, but we certainly ask a lot of questions about it. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay.
I'd like to briefly add on to something that Gary said. You know, you have the letter of the law and you have the spirit of the law. And I think that we have to take that into consideration because there are some gray areas. And what Gary said is absolutely correct. They should have a little more leeway to go ahead and make their decisions that they do make. So it's a little easier on some of the folks. If there's something in the neighborhood that everyone's okay with, but it might be in a little gray area, I think they should have a little more leeway to make that decision.
Can I say something else?
I think
I will yield my time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, you're going to yield.
I'll yield my time to the gentle lady.
You have to be very careful about precedent setting. If you allow somebody in a neighborhood to do something, even though it's not within code because the rest of the neighbors are okay about it, that person 3 blocks down is going to have the same right that you gave to the person in this neighborhood. So I don't think you want to get into the area of making accommodations for that or breaking your code in any way. You're going to be in a lot of trouble down the line.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for you, Erica. You said the city should not contract out for services such as animal control or parking enforcement. How are you going to pay for public employee pension costs if the city has to hire more employees to bring these services back?
Okay, a while ago, when I first started driving, what would happen is if my car broke down, and it broke down a lot, it was a 64 Falcon, I still drive it around, but the point of the matter is that if it broke down, I would go trudge home, and I would get on the phone, and I would call the police department and say, hey, my car's broken down, you know, on this location, I'm gonna move it in the morning. And they're all, okay, we won't ticket your car. And I say, thank you, you know. And so then, pretty soon it got to a point where they're all, this is a Falcon again. Yes, okay, so, but the whole point of the matter is that we don't need to be charging people $5 to park their cars in front of their own homes. That's how I see it. I just feel it's just excessive, as well as then turning around and charging the people $55 for not getting the $5 parking permit. And so I don't think that's right. I see it as the police department. They're already driving around, watching out for the neighborhoods. They could go and do both jobs at the same time. That's how I see it. They're doing a great job. They're phenomenal. So I think they could handle it. And I don't think people are going to be out of control. They just call in, make a simple phone call, say my car is out in front of my house, and I'm sure people are not going to be doing this excessively. But that's how I see it. The other thing regarding the animal control, when I first licensed my first boxer in 2000, I was told that the fees for the license was going back to fund the kennels, the trucks, and the employee's wage. And so I think that instead of the license fees going straight into the general fund, like it is now, it should be earmarked specifically for that position. So that's my rationale. Thanks.
Okay, Joe?
Sure, we contract out some of our services for a good reason. During this great recession in the last 6 years or so, we've cut 56 positions, full-time positions from the city, and 26 part-time positions. That's 20% of our staffing. That impacted all of these areas that we're talking about. And what we found out is when we go out to contract, we can do it at a cheaper price and better services than we were having when we had employees hired. They've done a good job, and over the past few years, we saved over $1 million in just salaries, because when we hire them, we pay their pensions, we pay everything. And we pay them for vacation times, and we pay them when they're off, when they go on their vacations. When we contract out, there are no vacation days, there are no holidays. They provide service 27 days a week, and the service is at lower cost than we would normally pay. And the service is better.
Yeah, the only thing that I would, well, two things. I would agree with Joe. I think it's important to look at things that we can outsource. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that the shelter that we have outsourced to is a kill shelter. And personally, I just don't agree with that. I think there's options that are out there that maybe we could better look at that don't kill pets. So I would hope that maybe we could look at that again and see if there's a shelter that doesn't do that.
Okay, Gary?
You can outsource everything and probably save money, but decisions need to be made, and quality of life needs to be taken into consideration when decisions are made by the city government. The outsourcing of our parking enforcement, if a company can figure out a way to make money of our parking enforcement, if they can make money by enforcing parking in the city of Glendora, we should be able to figure out a way to do that and keep that money within the city of Glendora, hire Glendorans to do the job. And if we would have the money to add an additional police officer or two, we don't want the police officers out writing parking tickets. We want them protecting our homes. If they're on the street, if we can hire more officers by keeping that in-house, protecting our homes, and when they're not busy, they can write parking tickets, I think it's something that we really need to take a look at.
There are a lot of things we do not outsource, but the things we do, the city has looked extremely carefully at before they made the decision to outsource. And those different services that are being contracted out are saving the city a great amount of money. And as Joe said, we talked earlier about the problem with rising pension costs, workers' comp, etc. And this is saving us a lot of money that we have to put into. We have to figure out how to keep a leaner budget. So I think certain services being contracted out is absolutely the way to go.
Okay. All right, the next question is for Mendel. Living in Glendora many years, I certainly saw many changes. What else would you change in our great town to make it unique?
Doris, do I have like 20 minutes to talk? What would I change in our town to make it unique? Well, two or three things. Let's start down south, the Arrow plan. There's an area that needs some economic growth. Now, the problem with that street is that Arrow, the north side is ours, and the south side is a mixed bag. But we need to really develop that and make that a strong area. We talk about cutting and adding fees and no taxes. Let's get some businesses down there that are really, really strong. Second of all, I really want to make this a destination point for people who want to eat and shop. Now, we have made some great strides. I mean, I've been here for 30 years and I miss Box. Does anybody miss Box? Yeah, I miss Box, but Luca Bella is awesome. And Classy Coffee is awesome. You can tell I've been there, pounded down a croissant or two. But I think that we need to do more to make sure that it's a destination point for people to come and shop and eat and hang out. Doris has given me the sign, so I better just sit down.
Anyone else want to respond to that? Did you?
Oops. I have been thinking for some time that our city needs more art, more fun, more different types of media, performing arts, music, more spontaneous, surprising, beautiful things that we see as we go through the city. We have artwork on the corner of Glendora Avenue and Route 60, on the corner of Ada and Glendora with the new station project. There's ceramic work that was done by Citrus College, and they've done the same thing over on Grand and Route 66 in front of a development there. And isn't it beautiful? I would love to see so much more artwork brought into our city.
Michael, go ahead.
Personally, I think our town is already unique. I think we can enhance it by, again, helping the businesses here, getting more businesses, small little eateries, because we have a lot of small little franchised, little independent mom and pops. And I think that's what adds the charm. Our Glendora Village is a place of destination. I think a lot of people like to go down there and stroll and walk, get a cup of coffee, and that is what is the charm of this city. And this is our hometown values that we need to hold on to very tight and not just squander that away. Thank you.
Erica?
I agree regarding the small businesses make the town unique. The town's already unique. There is only one Glendora, and it's the reason why people move here, because they like how it is. The thing also that we need to remember is that we have some really unique geological and geographical features regarding the South Hills Wilderness Park. That is considered actually an ecological island, and usually ecological islands sink and fail, but that is a very strong ecosystem going on up there. There are golden eagles up there. There are like red-tailed hawks. I've seen 2 gray foxes up there. It's phenomenal. The foothills are also an area that we really need to watch over and protect for the futures, because there's just so many sensitive habitats that just need to be looked out for. All of Glendora needs to be looked over and protected, not just some areas or the people. We need to look at the environment as well.
Thank you. Gary?
Honestly, this is one of the reasons I'm here tonight. Glendora has always been a great place to live. We all chose this city to raise our families and to call our hometown. But there have been some changes coming to Glendora. We've reached out, and we all like to shop at the Gap and the Banana Republic and all of those places. But I would much rather be able to go into Andrew's Clothiers, and this suit's from Gary, and know that Gary's going to be the one taking my measurements. I don't want to go to the Men's Warehouse. Those are the things that make Glendora unique, and I have seen that we are trying to change that. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't like those changes. I want to see us keep the city the way it has been, support the local small businesses, support the volunteers that we have here in town, continue the hometown values, as Michael has said, that we have had for all of this time. I do not want to see the village become the Rodeo Drive in San Gabriel Valley, and that's been quoted a number of times. That's the last thing that I would like to see. I want to be able to take my shoes and have my shoes repaired downtown Glendora.
Okay, everybody, write this down. I agree with everybody on this panel on what they talked about. Mendel brought up a very important issue, and that's Arrow Highway. That's in our town. It's a part of our town that needs some really help. One of the problems is when you go down Arrow Highway, you go into different cities and county areas, and it's very difficult. But the city has already started the process of developing a specific plan for Arrow Highway so that we can bring together all of these entities to work on better, making it better. The county, the different cities, and everything, and that's in our plan, and it's already begun. So I think people will be happy, but understand, it's a long-range plan, just like Route 66 was a long-range plan.
Okay. All right, Michael, you may have thought you didn't have a specific question, but
I figured you get around.
there's one here. It says that you tried to get rid of the bid and lost. Why would you try to get rid of a program that significantly contributed to the wonderful success of Glendora's Village, recognized as the best downtown in the valley 3 years in a row by the Tribune?
Well, first off, it's longer than 2 minutes, and allow me. But first off, the city did a very poor job in letting people know that the bid existed if you moved into the area. And when I went to apply for my business license, I looked and did the worksheet and was handed a $400 bill. There was nothing on the website. Long story short is, by law, the bid members were supposed to get a vote for 3 years. Every year for the last 3 years, it wasn't accomplished. It didn't happen. Originally, they sent the police department out to go collect funds against state and federal law, color of authority. There's a number of issues of that nature that was going on. There was only a certain number of businesses that were actually benefiting from this. I'm upstairs, I had an office, I didn't benefit anything from it. Most, if not all, of the functions that happened downtown were already happening before the bid was established. It was done by the Merchants Association. And I understand why they established the bid, because they were fronting the cost and the burden of time of doing so. I was trying to get this to go back to the Chamber of Commerce and let them go ahead and increase their membership and take on the events, not the taxes, to go ahead and run this and increase the size of it and include the rest of the city so they can do these functions around the city. Again, it was about not just wanting to get rid of it, it was about trying to transform it. Transform it into the Chamber of Commerce where this belongs, and get creative and let the business decide what they want to do and not have another government mandate of collecting taxes and forcing people to do things they shouldn't be doing. I'm passionate about this, and I hope this answers the question, but I'm hoping that this May, that they're going to have their other vote coming up, and it'll be a little fairer election as opposed to having 82% of the people vote against it and lose the polls by 38. You figure that one out.
Okay, anybody want else? Joe?
Well, the truth of the matter is, Michael, and I disagree respectfully with him, wanted to do something that would have shut down our bid. That's the same organization that puts on the wine walk, the chalk walk, all of the different things that go on in the city. Literally, hundreds of merchants work their butts off to make that happen. So when Michael comes up and says, I don't think we should do this, I think we should do it with the chamber didn't want to do it. He's sitting right here and you can ask him. He didn't want to do it. They don't have the resources to do it. So what did we do? We had a vote, a legal vote, a binding vote, and the merchants won with a 2-to-1 majority of the vote to keep the bid. That's the story.
Gary?
Okay, for those of you that don't know, I'm responsible for the Business Improvement District. I headed up the committee that created the Business Improvement District. And I believe in the business improvement district. I believe in the concept of it. But unfortunately, things have sort of went the wrong way. As I was traveling around all over California, going to conferences and meeting with other cities that had business improvement districts in place, they warned me of two things. They said, you got to be careful the city does not turn part of their responsibility onto the backs of the businesses. And number two, you have to make sure that a small group of business owners does not take control of the business improvement district and make decisions that are not in the best interest of the entire business improvement district. I am still in favor of the business improvement district. I think it's a great idea. I signed Michael's petition because I believe that somebody needed to step up, and the city council had the responsibility of stepping up and getting involved when the business improvement district was going the wrong way. And I think they let the businesses down there. And all of those events did take place long before the bid was established.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I have seen great benefit from the Business Improvement District in the number of people coming into the village, the wonderful events that are going on. I will also acknowledge that Michael and Gary and some of the other merchants did have legitimate concerns about how it was operating, and I think things have improved, things have changed, and I hope there will be less discontent now and more good services happening than before. I do want to comment about making the chamber the bid. The chamber serves every single business within the city, at least all of the members, which come from throughout the city. The bid is the village, and I think there would be a conflict with the chamber receiving the bid money and paying attention more to the village than to the other businesses. I just don't see that working.
Okay, anyone else? All right, we'll go back to a question for all of you, and we'll start at Mindel. It's your turn according to my chart. The city attorney advises the council to take a particular action or not take an action. Would you comply with his advice or ignore it?
Hi, Cliff. You're supposed to be a nice guy. I don't think that's an either or. There are times where in my business life, my attorney says this, and he gives me some wiggle room, and I take the wiggle room, and we do what I think's right. I respect Wayne Leach, and I would probably think long and hard to vote no against what his advice is, because I certainly don't want to have us facing a major suit. But I think at the end of the day that the five of us are elected to serve you. You've entrusted us to represent you, and we have to do what is right for what our city is. And I think we're all smart people, and we need to take his advice and weigh it and then make an appropriate choice.
Judy.
I was told to stop, so.
I know.
Thanks.
Doris, you are so rude.
That's your job.
Good job, Doris.
Get my feelings hurt. Our city attorney has been in the field for a long, long time. He is a specialist in city law. I take his advice very seriously. However, it's my responsibility, if I believe that there's a reason to question his advice or I just want another opinion, to find a second opinion. And I have done that on occasion just to verify that I'm going the right direction. That's my responsibility.
Gary?
I've spent a lot of time the last 3 months watching city council meetings, and I went back in the archives and watched planning commission meetings and so on. And I see Wayne and Chris Jeffers sitting in on all of these meetings. And one thing I see that's really consistent is they constantly want to advise whatever board they're advising there, that we have to protect the rights of somebody. We're worried about a lawsuit, defending ourselves about a lawsuit from a developer or from another business. I've never heard them say, we need to protect the rights of the citizens of Glendora. We need to worry about a lawsuit from the citizens of Glendora. And I think that's what their job is. Our city government's job is to protect our rights and do what we need to do. And I would like to see them put more effort into figuring out a way to protect our rights and our freedoms rather than those of outside people.
Joe?
Sure, I think in the city we hire experts. One of them is the city attorney because he has the knowledge. I'm not an expert. Nobody out there is an expert in law. That's why we hire the city attorney. He's the expert. We hire a city manager. We hire development people. We hire people to run different divisions because they're the experts. And they're there to advise us on what to do. Most of the time we can pay attention to them or we can't pay attention to them. But when the city attorney says something to us, we need to absolutely take it seriously. And we can't say, well, this is not a lawsuit from the city, this is a lawsuit against the city. And we need to pay attention to those rules. And when we see that, we can disagree, but if he says the rule is the rule, we need to pay attention to it. And like Judy, if we want to verify it, we can try and verify it. But the truth of the matter is, he's the expert there, and that's what he's supposed to do, guide us on what we are supposed to do that is in the best interest of the community. That's his job.
The city attorney, Wayne Leach, he knows a lot of information. I've often wondered, though, how he could possibly know so much about every single area of law. Because there are going to be criminal defense attorneys, there's prosecuting attorneys, there's family law attorneys, etc., environmental attorneys. How does this one attorney happen to know so much detail about all those sections of law? And I just really don't think that we should always put all our eggs in one basket. I think we need to go and look out and ask for second opinions, go specifically to the law offices who actually are experts in that particular topic ahead of time. Because the council people are supposed to be representing the people and doing some research. That's just what I feel and what I have noticed throughout the years. He just seems to know everything about every single topic.
Michael?
I would echo what Gary has said. When you're a CEO of a company, you just don't take it as a blank check of what your counsel tells you. You ask for, is there any options, any outs? Is there any other opinions out there that you can go grab? What are our options? Not just take it as face value, because that has dire consequences to it. And you have to watch out for the repercussions that come down the line, and not necessarily just what the immediate gratification is, the immediate issue, and be a little more strong and straightforward as far as making sure that you don't do something today that will affect you later on down the road.
Okay, we're winding down, and we're going to do a popcorn here if we can. And Judy, I believe you are up to start this off, and we're not going to give you a minute even, okay? What distinguishes you from your fellow candidates? What unique characteristics make you the best candidate for City Council?
I think one of my biggest attributes for City Council is the amount of time I put into learning about the situation. I don't just take information from one person. I seek out information on the same subject from many, many different sources. I do my homework very thoroughly. I attend many, many meetings, and I feel like I'm very well versed on subjects that I'm making decisions on before I make that decision.
Gary?
Honestly, we had an example just a couple of minutes ago with the Business Improvement District. I was responsible for creating the Business Improvement District. It was a mistake, okay? And I accept the fact that it was a mistake. We've heard a lot of things here tonight. You guys have reacted to things. It's important as a city council person that we consider that, regardless of our own opinions, regardless of what we've done. If the citizens believe differently than what we believe, then that's the way the decisions need to be made. I understand that. I've always lived my life that way. I have no problem stepping up and accepting the fact that mistakes can be made. We will make mistakes. If I'm a city council person, I'll make mistakes, but I won't own up to them. I won't blame other people for them, and I believe that's a difference. That's why I make it to the council.
Joe?
You know, when I was elected 4 years ago, I made a promise to the people in this community that I would do 3 things. Number 1, that I would pay attention to the details of government and research whatever I needed to do to make the best decision. Secondly, I wanted them to know that I'm going to work very hard for them, which I did. And I also, the third thing I wanted them to know is that no matter what, I didn't care whether these other cities were going bankrupt. I didn't care if they were out of money. I didn't care if they were cutting the heck out of their staff. I wanted to have a balanced budget, and I wanted to have a seamless impact on our community. And we achieved that during the first 4 years. And I want to do the same in the next 4 years.
I know firsthand what it's like to be ignored by the city council. I know what it's like to go up to the council, and as I would speak to the council members, I was actually feeling as if I was speaking to Easter Island statues. That was just basically the expression that is returned. It's very stressful for the people who are coming up to speak. They're spending their time that maybe they don't have to give to actually show up at the council meeting, and it's because they care. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Nobody cares how much you know until nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care." Okay, and so I believe that I will listen to people, and it has been said that I'm very genuine. I'm very personable. I can get along with everybody. Maybe they can't get along with me, but I can go and get along with them. You know, so I just really believe that it's so important to listen to the people. That's what I will do. Thanks.
Michael.
I have the most diverse background than anyone up here. I had a manufacturing company in the aerospace industry for 22 years. Started a founding member of a bank, Southland Business Bank in Irwindale. I had a software company that did ERP systems, and CEO of a renewable energy company. And now I'm a management consultant on a global basis. All those fields take communication, and communication is 2 ways. And that's important because you're always making deals, because if you upset everybody, you're never going to be successful. And that's the key of what I'm trying to do here, and why I'm trying to run, because I want to have a higher level of communication. We don't have that here in many different levels. They do a great job in software and internet and things of that nature. But I believe I can bring a higher level of communication so I can bring everybody at the table and everyone can understand what's going on and be a part of the solution.
Well, I've lived here for 30 years, and there's history here, and that doesn't mean that it's stale, but it's current. The other thing is I run a company that's almost $500 million large, and I brought over 150 folks here to work from out of town. I understand what banking is. I understand what numbers are. And if you give me the trust that I want to earn, I think that that's a critical part of what makes a city good, and the ability to dig deep into what numbers are. I'm a trusted guy. I can't be the person that I am for 29 years running a regulated bank without earning the trust and working across examiner lines and political lines and my board every month without being able to build a strong bridge, and I think I can do that here.
Okay, thank you. Now, this next question is the reason we brought all of you here. Okay? I want you to get this. The Chamber of Commerce. The Glendora Chamber of Commerce and the City of Glendora have had a relationship that goes quite back a long ways. Do you feel that partnership is important? And how can that relationship be strengthened? And I believe we start with Gary. And this can be short. This is my question.
It's your question.
For Chamber.
And for those of you that know me, this will be very short. I think the partnership between the city and the chamber is excellent. I think they do a great job. We've got one of the best chamber directors in the entire state of California here. That's Wyatt Chamber. And I believe it is extremely important, and that's why I'll continue to support the chamber.
Well, thanks. One of my collateral responsibilities on the city council is I'm the city council's liaison to the Chamber of Commerce. So I go to all of their meetings of their board of directors. And then I also go, when Judy can't make it, to their political group that's there. I think this Chamber of Commerce is second to none. I think they do a wonderful job for this community, with the business community, and the innovative programs that Joe develops. And you can see them on the internet, on their webpage. The wonderful programs that he develops and the web pages that he develops and how well he does it is just absolutely amazing. So I think that this chamber deserves our support, and it will always have our support. So thank you.
Very good.
The relationship between the chamber and the city is vital for business's success as well as the city's success. So I think they're doing a fabulous job, and thank you for even setting up this event. That was very kind of you. And finding a place to go, I know it was hard to find a spot, so thank you.
Michael?
I think the chamber is probably one of the most important things we can have in our city, and Cina has done such an extraordinary job in running this and growing this and making everything friendly and trying to help businesses. You know, whenever I was traveling for business, the first thing my secretary would do would call the Chamber of Commerce in whatever city I would be in, and they were always accommodating. And Joe has done that. He is exemplary in what he has done. He's done a lot of things for me, and I pledge my support to help him get more members so we can grow it and get more employees there to help him so we can help all of Glendora.
Wow, Joe, this is really the week of love.
We'll get all this on tape, Joe. Remember.
Short answer is yes. The city gives Joe and his group, I think, 20 grand. And we can look at what city spends their money on, but I think that investment is one of the best investments that the city makes. And I applaud the city council for doing that. And yes, I have a member of my team, Fawn Imboden. She's on the executive council. I encourage her to take the company time to support, to work, to encourage growth. And so, yes, I think we all agree that it's a worthwhile group. Thank you.
Judy?
Well, I don't know what we would do without the chamber. They are so wonderful. Joe is so wonderful about supporting all of the businesses in our city. And I remember when we lost our redevelopment funds, and we wondered, what are we going to do to entice businesses to come into our city or to help them stay? And the chamber immediately said, we want to partner with the city to make sure that we can help you in any way possible. And I think we became much stronger and provided better service for our businesses than we were doing with the redevelopment funds. So thank you very much for everything you do.
Good. Thank you, Joe.
Can I have a rebuttal?
No,
Because I'm in the chamber.
your minutes up. Okay. Thank you, candidates, for your upfront responses to questions that people have. We didn't get through all the questions. We still have some. But Joe, you are up for your 2-minute closing statement, and then it'll be Gary, and we'll come down this way.
Well, first of all, thanks, Cliff. Good job on this. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the questions, everybody, that you've asked. My closing statement is basically that I come from a background of government, and I've never been on this side of government until I became a city council member. In this community here, we have a wonderful community, and I think what makes this community wonderful is the things that people do for it. And we had a lot of discussion about this big building, but let me tell you, that big building doesn't define this community. What defines this community is a senior citizen center that's the second to none any place that provides services for our senior citizens. What defines this city is our service clubs that do outstanding work for this community. What defines this city is the parks that we have for our children to play and for our families to go out and recreate. What defines this city is the wonderful school district that we have. And what defines this city is our ministerial association and the diversity of it in this community. But more importantly, one of the things that really defines us is our library and our police department. And the reason that we're able to do so good during these difficult financial times is that when things were going bad and funding was short or we had to cut positions, the army of volunteers in this community came forward and said, I will help you. They help us with the library, they help us with the police department, they help us with the senior citizen center, they help us do work at in the community, they help us restore the parks, provide service, plant trees in the parks. Those are the things that define this community. And those are the only things that define it. So my job for the next 4 years will be, if re-elected, is to maintain a community like that. And I think it's in all of our best interest. And I thank the people, and especially the volunteers in this community, who really come together and help us when we need them.
Jerry?
Okay, it's late, it's hot, and I see we're losing our standing room only crowd, so I'm going to be very short. Bottom line, everybody up here, I give kudos to anybody that puts himself out here. We all care about the city, so does everybody in this room. If you elect me as your city council person, I will listen to you, I'll communicate with you, and I'll make decisions based on what you believe, not on my own opinion. I will tell you the truth 100% of the time, even if we disagree. I'm not afraid to make the tough decisions, and tough decisions need to be made sometimes. That's what I'll do, and I thank you for coming here tonight. I appreciate everybody stepping out.
I have governed the last 4 years on the principles of small government, low taxation, and the protection of personal freedom. And to me, those principles are what guides every decision that I make. I'm committed to these essential elements of leadership, and when we had to choose what made us good candidates for city council, and I said I'd do my research, I also am going to take this moment to say I reach out to the citizens. It's very important to me that our citizens are engaged in government, and I know how hard it is for all of you to do that. You have very busy lives. So how can I reach out to you? I attend events. I'm there for you to talk to. I have advocated for town hall meetings. I want us to do more of them. I have a blog, glendorajudy.com, that has pressing issues on it that you can go to and take a look at and learn about what's happening in our city. Additionally, as I've said, I'm supporting and working toward fiscal balance in our city, protecting our reserves, finding out how we can protect our essential services, not lose what we're doing, the quality of our lives that we're working for as we face the financial challenges that are coming toward us. This is going to take work, but we can do it. It's going to take a strong council. It's going to take staff that are very careful about what they're advising, and it's going to take involvement from our citizens to tell us what's most important and what you want us to lead toward. Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure for me to serve as your council member and as your mayor, and I hope to have the opportunity to continue.
Thanks again for taking your time to just engage here. It's been great. As you've seen and heard, you have a choice. Vision, style, philosophy, intentions, spirit. You have a style. You have a choice. And I hope that I've earned that trust because of my 30 years here and the historical view that I have of our town and the passion to keep the heritage the way it is. But I also bring, as I just said, a lot of banking skills. 29 years of running a company. 29 years of making sure that profitability is always met. We've been around for 56 years and we've never lost a penny every year. We've been profitable every year. I think I can bring those kind of skill sets to what the council is. But an element of how I lead is contained in 4 words. Stop, look, and listen. I will stop sometimes and pause because that is important. The council must do that. I will also look because we need to look for new ways of doing things. Things change. We have to look for different ways of doing things, creative ways of doing things, capacity. But I also will listen. Listen is probably the most important thing. We want a future that is robust. We want to unleash the 52,000 people that live here. We want to protect the heritage which we have. And so I hope that I've earned that trust to serve you, not to govern, but to serve you. May God bless you, and may God bless our precious city. Thank you.
Thank you again for coming tonight. You know, it takes a lot of courage to get up here and run. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of time, and money as well. But it also takes a pedigree, a past of what you're going to bring to the table, what you have to offer, and how you're going to communicate with everyone in Glendora to keep it the way we like it, to keep the hometown values that we want. We've heard a lot tonight about how we're going to progress forward, how we're going to maintain what we like here. You know, some people think it's boring, but I think a lot of people like it the way it is. However, we do have to have managed growth, because if you don't have growth, you die. And I believe that I have the qualities to do this, to go ahead and use my background and get into my bag of tricks, if you will, and pull out the right solution at the right time. But it's most important, though, to go out and listen. All over the city, to go and listen, to make sure that we are hearing what everyone is saying and properly communicating, and not just being one-sided. To be able to step up and work with the city government, because there's a lot of bureaucracy there. And it takes a little bit of courage to go up against that bureaucracy, that machine, and to do the right thing. Again, I have my ideas, but that doesn't mean they're etched in stone. My ideas would be put out there, but then you'd have to have communication back with the citizens. We have 3 seats available. I'm asking for 1. So vote for Michael Alwas to protect your hometown values. Thank you.
There you go.
It was once said about me that I have a lot of heart, but I don't have a lot of money. That's true. I don't have a lot of money. I'm a hard-working, average person. I work 2 jobs. I have my twins I take care of. Every ounce of time that I go and choose to get involved in an organization or attend a council meeting, I do it because I want to. And that is, I consider it very important. I think more people in the city should get involved. And you know, the time when I go and I would help out at the Glendora Historical Society and work with such people as Stephen Flowers, you know, and then just the banter going back and forth, going and finding out new historical facts that maybe one of us didn't know before. I love the process of learning. That's why I really want to get the people involved in the city activities, city functions, coming out and being informed and attending just even a city council meeting. And I would appreciate any time that they came and spent. Such as right now, all of you are just cut out about 2 hours of your time to come and listen, and that just shows how much you care. And that shows how much everybody in Glendora cares about the city. So all the candidates, we're up here for a reason. We all care. And at the end of the day, as Jerry Voorhees once said, you know, when in doubt, do the right thing. And I believe that. We're here for the people. We're not here for developers or big money or like who gave us what campaign contribution. We're here for the people, and we need to do what's right. Thanks.
Thank you, candidates. We appreciate your commitment to the time that it takes to run and, if elected, to serve. We're proud of what goes on in Glendora. And as a chamber and as a legislative and economic development committee, we're proud of you and the opportunity to present you to the citizens of Glendora tonight. Thank you for being here. It's been a great time. Thanks to our timekeepers.